Hello everybody, welcome to the Sound Test Room. Today we are taking a look at Scala 3. So Scala 3 is released about a week ago, and the word game changer is thrown around quite a lot these days, but really I think Scala 3 is a game changer for many reasons, as we'll get into as we go through the video. So parts of this video will be quite deep. Hopefully by the end of it you'll get an idea of how powerful Scala 3 is and how you can use it to create entire tracks, stuff like that, just explore chords, all sorts of cool stuff. So we have three main pages now in Scala 3. Now Scala 2 was brilliant, but Scala 3 takes it to a whole new level and makes it much easier. Okay, so you have three main pages. This first page, this is the browse page, which is where you'll find your chord sets and start to build your main track stuff up. And then you have the create page, which is marvelous. We'll spend quite a lot of time with the create page, but on this page you have your circle of fifths. Then you have your modulation if you want to change your track from one key to another, the explore page, the colors page, and also the sketch page. Okay, so the create section is really great, and you can get really lost for ages and ages just playing around with this. Then we have the arrange page. Now you can have multiple tracks in Scala 3. So you can have your main track with your chords, and you can have basses, leads, arpeggios, phrases, whatever you like. Okay, and there is no limit to the maximum length you can have. In fact, whereas in Scala 2 you could drop up to 8 chords here, you can drop as many as you like here, it doesn't matter. And you can also add to that now also in the arrange page. What's also cool about this now is if you're using Scala 3 either within a DAW, as I'm here using it inside Reason, if you're using it standalone or in a DAW, you can use the internal instruments here, which you can choose. And you see I'm on this felt piano, but we could change it to say soft piano or whatever. You can also add VSTs, so you could go in here and go to instruments here and choose any of the VSTs you've got on your system, and you can use also manufacturer as well. Okay, so just for now we'll stick with the internal sounds. You can also export anything you like here, so you can export the MIDI, you can export the actual multi-track MIDI as well if you want to. And you can export the audio track here as well. So if you've completely created your epic masterpiece in Scala 3 just on its own, which you can, then you can just export this stuff out as audio. Okay, so you could have all your VSTs, VST effects and stuff. So you've got your effects as well. You can add VST effects. Even on the Scala instruments, if I just play a chord on my MIDI keyboard, this soft piano, you can click this little button here and you have some basic stuff you can add to the internal instruments as well. Okay, so let's go back to the main page here, the browse page. You can choose any scale you like, and you'll see that there are just tons and tons of them. I mean, really hundreds and hundreds. So say for instance we pick this C major scale, it will appear here. I'll take that delay off, I think, off the soft piano. Okay, so let's go back to our browse here. So these are the chords, the triad chords in your C major scale, right? But another really interesting and cool feature here is, say for instance you'd like to hear all this stuff in different voicings. Okay, so you could hit the voicings tab in. Let's hear this scale in sevenths. And at any time, of course, you can drop them onto your main track, which is where you start to build up your actual song. Okay, so, but luckily we can look at common progressions there or uncommon progressions. This is a new one, and you go, right, okay, well, I'm in uncommon progressions. I could go to colored here and I say, well, that's nice. What's it like in thickened? Okay, and you could go, say, with genres. We could look at 80s. We could go at 80s 1. And although you're just setting this stuff up for now, if you wanted to hear these chords played longer and stuff, once you drop them in, you have complete control over the length. So, for example, if I drop this G minor down here and I want to extend this, I can extend it as much as I like here now in the actual creation part, our main track. And if I extend this now, it'll be obviously a longer chord. So if we could like drop this, say, so now we've got this. And we can shorten chords as well, depending on what our resolution is set at, for example, right? So if we say go to our arrange page, you'll see the resolution here is set at 1 bar. If I change this to say 1/8 now, I could say, well, okay, I'm going to shorten this to say there, and I'll just extend this one here. And maybe go back to our browse and drop another chord in. You see it's reflected here, and also the resolution is also reflected now as well once you've set it in your other page. So now we've got these 3 chords down here. So you can totally and completely arrange the track any way you like. To select anything, you just hold and drag. I selected the suggest there as well by clicking on this little icon here. Then we can just delete chord, right click and delete if we want to. And let's just reset this preset. I'll go to, I'll just right click on Hitler Scale and go new session to show you something else as well. So say you've gone through all these chords that you want, but you know, you've got some of your own kind of chords that you want to arrange into a track. We're back on felt piano here, so let's just increase the volume for that. Go into our... Okay, so let's go back to our browse page. Click on a little record icon and you'll see it'll say capture MIDI here. Well, I'm going to go detect MIDI. I'm going to press the record icon, and what's going to this, it's going to wait for me to input MIDI. So I want some of these really not, I've got a progression of my own I want to record. So okay, so I've recorded those. Now I can switch this off, close that down, and now I've got my own custom progression. All right, so that's cool. I'm just gonna, I can select all of these and then right click and go add to main track, or I can just drag them all down. So let's right click and add to main track. So I've got a bunch of chords here, right? So very nice. Let's play them in the main track window. I think I can probably turn the volume down a little bit now on the felt. Here we go. Let's put a bit of reverb on that, shall we? Just for fun. Bit more release. And go back to our, well, we're already here, so I can just play. Now, if I want to loop this, all I need to do is switch loop on, and this will just loop backwards and forwards. If I want to duplicate what I've already got, I can just select these, hold Alt on my keyboard and drag them over. Okay. If I want to delete any particular chords, I can. Like now that delete thing, right? Let me just show you that again. I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, drag these over, and you'll see they're all selected. But if I just select any of them, I can just delete a chord. If I make a mistake, I can put that chord back in by hitting undo. Okay, I could also transpose any of these chords, but I'll get into that in a bit, or any sections of chords, right? So now I've got I'll just switch this on and I'll extend the range. So now I've got, it's just a duplicate, right, of what I've got. Okay, so I could go back in here now and say, well, you know, maybe I could change some of these chords out. Now, if I tap this is going to suggest some chords that might work for me. So maybe. So maybe from that to, yeah, so I'm gonna drag that in here, drop it on there, and I can take that one out because it's added it in at the end for me. I don't need it. So I'm gonna go back to my arrange page now, and I've got my F major at the end here. So let's see what that sounds like. Okay, and then it'll just repeat. Okay, so that's very nice. Maybe I want this to play in a particular style. Now I can choose a style for each different chord if I want, but just for now, let's in this first video, I don't want to go too massively deep because it might confuse some people, but just know that you can do pretty much anything you like with Scala now. If I press this performance here now, which is now called motions, I'll tap that on, and the first motion is this Accento one. So if I just play, by the way, by default, if I press my transporting reason, you'll see that Scala is synced perfectly to the DAW. In fact, you can see if I change the tempo here on reason, it changes in Scala as well. If I don't want to do that, if I just want to work with Scala without having it anything to do with the DAW at the moment, I can just right click on the little play and just unselect that. And now playing reason won't play this sequence. I need to trigger it here. Let's change this piano to maybe the vintage keys. Or maybe the electric piano. Okay. Okay, that sounds nice. Now this is where it starts to get super cool. I can build up a track as long as I like. There is no limit now to how many chords you can put onto your main track. Okay, so you can add lots and lots of chords here to your main track, but just as a starting point now, if I hit this little plus icon here, it's going to add in another track below the main track. And this is where I can choose what I want in there. So let's choose an articulation. Let's choose an arpeggio. Here's the cool thing. If I hold on any of these, it's going to give me a preview. And it would be the same if I was using a VST. I'm going to use that up, down, repeat. I'm just going to tap once on here and it will add it to the main track here like this, but it will be playing the felt piano, right? So for example, all right, let's go and change that particular sound. I'm going to show you some incredibly cool stuff now. So let's change it to maybe a synth sound, and I don't know, what's this? Marimba. Here we go. I'm going to change it to a marimba. So let's play. I'm going to add a little bit of delay to that. Right, now, let's click on this. We've highlighted this track, right? Now you can, of course, you can shorten, lengthen, you can add more chords in, and these will just any track you now add, any track will just now automatically follow. It will follow your main chord track. Okay, so if I go to MIDI now, so whatever I'm selected on, right? I'm selected on this, right? I'd be selected on A minor. I'm selected on this entire thing. If I go to MIDI, I can now see all the notes that are going on in my MIDI track here, and there's tons of stuff I can do with this now. First thing to mention, I can rearrange and control each note individually, right? But as soon as I start to do that, what will happen is it will detach itself basically from the main chord track, and any adjustments you make will not be affected by the main chord track. The best way to do this is to use the MIDI modifiers all the way down the side here. If I just press that, it'll decrease it. And there's lots and lots of stuff we could do. So we've got timing, we've got note length. So at the moment it's full, but I could go like half note length here, like this, or maybe full again, or, you know, quarter. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. I'm going to leave it on full at the moment. I can take the octave up for the entire sequence. So let me just try that. That's nice. I can use inversions. So I can invert the arp. Second inversion there. I can transpose it. So I could transpose it up, say, 5 semitones. Which is still going to fit in, of course. The range, we can increase the range, which is going to make it wider. We can increase the density, which is going to put more notes in. Or we can decrease the density. Here we can manually increase the length. We can change the resolution. So maybe we can rotate. We can change the voicing. And you know, you can see it's on the up, down, repeat. We can change the type here if we wanted to. We could go, well, I want to go up. Let's choose another. Let's choose thumb up, thumb down. Or we could choose a completely different arpeggiator. Let's choose converge. And let's take our inversion back down. Awesome stuff. Here's another cool thing we can do. Choose anywhere you like in your sequence. Let's move our... Say, for instance, halfway through, choose our scissor tool, chop this MIDI clip in half, go to our second one, and now you can change this how you like, completely different than this one. So like, for example, we could say Oh, let's see. Let's go with a different ARP type, shall we? Let's go with this down type for this second one. You'll see how it's changed. Let's just play it, see what it sounds like. Okay. So you're beginning to get the idea there. And just before I leave this arrange page, because you can play around with this as much as you like, you can add your own notes in. It does have a user, but let's just choose this. If you click on, say, let's choose articulations, or no, expressions, bass. I'm going to use sidechain bass, and you'll get a little let's just choose that one. It's just dead basic. And now you'll see we've got this new bass line going across the bottom, but we need to go and change the sound for that. So let's go back to mixer. We've got it on felt piano. Let's choose a bass, and let's choose some sort of, let's choose type bass. So just happen. So now definitely need to up that a bit, so we're selected on it anyway. So I'm going to, sorry, I did take it up an octave, I thought I did. Like I said, you can split this anywhere and change anything that you've got going on. Like you could completely change out the bass pattern for this second part. In fact, let's do that. We might as well. Let's select here to get our scissor tool, cut it there. Let's select our second part, and we can see this is sidechain bass, whatever it was, but let's change it up. Let's maybe go with let's make it a little bit more busy, shall we? Let's choose that one. So for this second part, it's going to go a little bit nuts. Let's make sure we're going to go up an octave on that as well. So let's see. Okay. And bring it in. And then on and on you go, adding in different parts, different instruments. You could choose VST. I can even run Reason inside Scala, even though it's running in Reason. I can use any of the racks I've got in the synths and stuff. So that's awesome, right? So that's basically how you'd use it. Let's just reset this to a new session, because there's lots of stuff I want to show you. So when this resets, which it has done now, oh yeah, saving your stuff as well is also super easy. I'll show you that as well. So say for instance you've got a this is where I find this Scala 3 the most powerful. Let's go with, you've got first of all scales. Now, you'll see that it's on C major. If I click this, nothing here is going to change. But if I now say select this D, let me clear all filters and hit D. You'll see that all the D scales now. Clear filters again, hit F. You see, if I add more notes in now, like I was, it's also going to include the scales that have these notes in them, the scales for D as well. And if I add another one, click it again, you'll see it'll show me the scales with everything in that has these three notes in it, sort of thing. Let's just clear the filters and hit F. Now we're looking at all the scales of F. We could choose one here, and There it is. And then you could say, well, okay, like I was saying, let's try this with some sixths and sevenths. And you can mix and match all this stuff. You know, say, for example, just as an example, we take this one and we go, right, I'm going to change the voice in as well. 13ths. I'm going to stick that in there. So go to maybe suspended. And colours are important. If the colours are like blues, the same blue, that means they're all going to pretty much work together. If you see something that's like slightly darker here, that's going to be way out as well. And these are either 1 or 2 notes or more notes away from your scale, but will still kind of work, you know. Clear all filters again. Harmonic minor. We could choose a new scale. Let me just have triads. Okay, you can choose different moods. So say classical, and there's none for harmonic minor classical, but there is for harmonic major classical. None for that, none for this. Maybe some, I mean, it's vast. So you could choose this scale, for example. Okay, but let's just quickly load in maybe a mood. Let's go with an atmospheric mood and maybe ambient one, and okay, very nice. I'm going to just pick the first 4 of those. And I'm just trying to drag them onto my main track. Okay, and I can delete those because I don't want them. Right. So now I've got this very kind of chilled out vibe thing going on. Let me show you some other cool stuff. Now you can, my MIDI keyboard is hooked up, but if we hit voice grouping now, these are all going to thicken up. So you're going to be adding a bass note. And there's lots of different dynamics. Okay, so you can play with all this stuff. You can have guitar voicings as well. If you're a guitarist, by the way, Scala is awesome. I'll show you. Very nice. So you're having different moods going on, different voice groupings. Let's have dynamic, which adds the bass octave. But you can also, which is nice with the voice groupings, is you can add dynamic plus 1 octave above as well, which is lovely. Let's turn the volume up for that piano just for this part of the video. Okay. Really, really nice. Let's just for now turn voice grouping off. Okay. Because these have already got some really nice bass notes added. Keys lock, right? One of the new features in this, if we switch keys lock on and go down to these bottom 3 chord notes, chord extension and chord scales, if it's just scale notes mapped, right, well, it's the same as Scala 2. Let's switch bind on. So we need to have bind switched on to use this. And you see, we've got 4 highlighted keys here, and they're basically those 4 chords. If we have more chords, there'll be more bound keys, if you know what I mean. So I can play it on my MIDI keyboard. This one of these new features, if I go to chord scales, you'll see now that the black notes are the ones that have been assigned to the chords, and any key I play outside of that on the white keys is just going to scale perfectly to the chord I've got. So I wouldn't be able to play anything outside of D major 7 on the white keys whenever I play. I'm playing the same keys here. Lovely. So that's one of the new things in Scala 3. Let's just go with this and switch that off. Right, so I can unbind that now if I want to. If you're a guitarist, if we switch to this guitar mode here, we click on this, you will see you've got your fretboard here, and it will show you. What's also really good about this, especially if you are a guitarist, if you click on this, you can do all the different tunings here as well. But also, if you click on this, it shows you the actual chord shapes as well. So for all of those chords. So if you wanted, if you were a guitarist, of course, and you wanted to know how to play whatever, D6 sus 4, there it is there. So that's really dead useful, isn't it? You know, really, to be honest with you. Right, now I'm going to reset this preset again because I want to show you something else. New session. So it's hard to, in this first video, I just wanted to kind of give you a general brief overview of the whole thing. Now, I am going to start with again, just a dead basic. I'm going to start with an uncommon progression actually, because these are new, and this one here. So okay, awesome. I'm going to go to the create page now and let's look around. So circle of fifths, you know. There we go. So anything that's kind of adjacent to this C, like this F, these are going to work well together. So yeah, that's kind of, you can go with A minor or whatever. You can also just search for a chord here. You could search for A, and it'll give you all the A's. Sus, it'll give you all the A susses. And then you could just clear those out. Just take it back out. So that's your circle of fifths, okay? Then you've got your inversions, your semitones, your octaves. This is your modulation. This is where you can tell Scala that you want to modulate from one particular key to another key, and it will give you directions on how to do that. So, you know, for example, the main track chords, there's nothing on our main track. So let's just quickly drag a few of these down in, stick them in the main track. So these are our main track chords now. So I'll play them. So destination scale. So say, well, it's on E flat. Say I wanted to go from E flat to something bizarre, D minor. This would give me the modulation pathway to do that. So I would take my E flat here. Oop, just the one of them I want, not all of them. Take this E flat here, then which is part of this main key. Then take any two of these. Well, there's only two, so I'll take them both. And then finish with the A minor here. or I'm end up with my destination key. I'll do it like that here. So now I've ended up going from my whatever it was, D flat, E flat thing into and now I've managed to modulate me pattern. Right, explore. This is bonkers cool. So if there was no chords in here or anything, or no sequences, this would still show up exactly as it is. And it's just a collection of chords, or constellations as they're calling them. The lighter sides are this side and the kind of darker feel are here. I'm going to still turn that piano up a little bit. Go back here. So like again, the further away from the main chord, and you'll notice because dynamic scaling is on, each time I hit one of these, these colors will change to let me know which is closest. But it doesn't mean I can't use. There is a connection. And here's a cool thing, then this will involve the sketch page here. And this is where you can kind of just work on different ideas. In fact, the easiest way to show you this, if I do something a lot simpler, let's just reset this again. Otherwise, it'll get a bit bonkers. So if I go just with common progressions, this colored 3 common progression, right? I'm going to stick these in here anyway, just for now. So now I've got a basic. Just a nice common progression. I'm going to make sure my piano's a little bit louder. Go back to my explore now and go to sketch. You'll see there's nothing in the sketch page, right? Before I do that, I just want to show you something else. You'll see that these keys are all, they're not the same as my basic C major scale here, right? But if I hit this little lock icon, you'll see that this will change to C major now, which will make it easier for me to find chords that will fit in with this. Now, at the moment, this is just on ambient, but you can see you have jazz, you have bright, dark, and next, and you'll see that the preset has changed. So let's, yeah, because it's relative, so that's fine. So you can put that in there. You like that, say, all right, that sounds quite nice, that fits. Awesome, and on you go. Right, here's the thing, right? If we look at, we can select any of these chords and paste them in other places, but if I look at colors now, colors, this is really cool. So now we're getting variations on our scale keys. So we've got this, but maybe it might be a better as an F7, or you can control the voicings of each of these suggestions. You see, it's using the scale here. But you could say, well, okay, well, that's with the 7th extension. Let's maybe put this all in 11ths, which is very jazzy. And you can bind this stuff as well and play it. And we'll go here. But you've got, like, this is voicing 7. Well, maybe we could go with variations and subdominants here. But say, for instance, I'm not sure if it works off this. Yes, it does. I'm going to add this to sketch progression 1. Okay. And there it is. It goes on to sketches, and there's sketch progression 1, right? So that's taken our sequence of those 4 chords, and in fact, we might as well add that chord in there and all, just for fun. And this, if I hit the little light bulb now, it's going to generate a sequence for us, just like that, see? And that's going to be a good way to say, well, I've made another sequence. Maybe that's something I prefer. I could add that to my tracks. Or with this one, for example, which is a basic kind of copy of our original, we could go, right, okay, what's that going to sound like with some sort of motion on it, some sort of maybe expression or rhythm? Or we could go with this one and say, well, what's this going to sound like if I do this? So, or this. Also make it play like melodies, or we've got sequences, kind of common sequences. Strum sequences, different moods where you go, well, I'm kind of a chilled mood, chilled performance, maybe a bit of avant-garde. Let's see what we've got going on. Jazz soft. These jazz ones are all new. Maybe with some jazz moves, one of them. Different what? There's, I mean, there's so much of this stuff. Let's just pick that one just for fun, right? So now on this one here, I can hear, this is this, remember, I can just hear what it's going to sound like. Okay, so what's cool now, right, is I can select those. I can go, right, add to main track, and it's going to add them after my chords. And if I go back to my browse now and I play, you'll hear that when it gets to here, it's going to swap over to that next motion. If you like anything that you've done, by the way, you literally can just drag and drop the MIDI in. So let's just drag and drop the MIDI in for just let me just click on one of these. Let me just select, if I can, select those 4 there. and literally just drag the MIDI in from Scala into, what's it? I'll take it off Scala, just delete that clip. And it's loaded the default IDA piano, but you get the idea. Let me mute Scala. Oh, hang on a minute. Now it's playing its own instrument. So let me just unhook this from the door for now and play this. So hang on. And you can, you know, choose any instrument you like to play. Basically, guys, that's it. Saving something. Say, for instance, you've created a great big arrangement and you want to save it. You hover over here, see this little icon here. Just tap on this, and then you can save it for as call it anything you want. If I call this, say, I'll call this Whip 6, which is all it means is work in project or work in project. Work in project 5 is the next one, isn't it? So work in project 5. Okay, cool beans. And just hit save. And now it's just update to work in project 5. If I want to load another project, if I go in into my user stuff again, and I choose maybe, I don't know, whatever it was I did the first time, might take a couple of seconds to load. This is a really old computer. It's really slow, and Scala has no trouble running this at all. So here we go. So this is working project 1, which is just a couple of tracks, I think. Yeah, it's nothing special going on, just things I was messing with. It's nice, eh? Guys, if you've watched this via a premiere, thank you very, very, very much indeed. I'll just play around with it for another couple of minutes while you say ta-ra to each other. I will be doing lots more Scala 3 videos, and hopefully eventually it will come to iOS, as did Scala 2. And then it's basically a DAW. You know, there's an awful lot of stuff you can do just within Scala. You know, you could like really create a full track. As you can see, you can edit all this MIDI stuff, and I've gone over quite a lot of the things. Like I said, one of my favorite pages is the create page, where you can just go around exploring all this different cool stuff. I think I'll just do this for it. Actually, what I'll tell you what I'll do. I will play you a few very cool progressions, and before I go, let me just hit new session 1, and that will come in quite quick. There we go. And I'll just set up a few progressions to play you. Let's see as well. I guess I could change this to instruments. I'll change this to piano tech, and then we can have it piano tech play some piano for us, right? We'll leave it on. Actually, yeah, no, we'll leave it on the default Steinway Grand. And I will choose to go back to browse here and choose some genres. Let's choose some. Let's start with Bossa Nova. Bossa Nova 1. I'll chain piano tech down. Maybe change the sound of that, I think. I know I really like this Vintage Times. Where is it? Is it in Mark II? Cinematic, yeah. Vintage Times Mark 1. Cinematic, I really like. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to play a bunch of these kind of. Here we go. Guys, I'll see you later. Ta-ta.